can see the hate, I can see the lies. See it in your face, read it out your eyes. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me. They want it, wanna get it. They losing while I'm winning. These the rules of the game you playing. In your eyes I can see you hating. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me. Why they watching me? They got their eyes on me.
Are they watching? I see them. They hate cause it just can't be him. But don't fly like a desert eagle. So don't give me that reason.
So today, Liam and I will be talking about should you count your calories. So Liam, with the experience that you have, do you think counting calories is essential to have success on losing weight or gaining weight?
I think so. I think when I first started dieting, I never really took my calories seriously. I just sort of kind of watched what I ate. And I think in the long run, when I then decided to take it a lot more seriously and count the calories, it definitely helped quite a lot.
Okay. And so this is something you do regularly or not?
I mean, at the minute, not nowhere near. But if I have a specific goal that I'm looking to hit, 100%, whether that's bulking, whether that's cutting, losing body fat, I always do hit my calories. Do you count them, or do you just more focus on kind of what you're eating?
So for me, counting calories is it's important. I think it's the stepping stone for you to start learning why you're eating. I truly believe that what you eat is it's more important than counting calories specifically. But so imagine when you are in school, your teacher teaches you something, and it starts from what is easiest for you to learn, and counting calories would be that. You to train your client and to educate your client, counting calories would be the most important step. But, and I think you will agree with me on this, the macros are more important because someone that eats 2000 calories a day and is only cake, it's nothing to do with you breaking down to a percentage of carbs, a percentage of protein, a percentage of fat. And what you eat is a lot more important than counting the calories exactly. But it's really important. It will teach you. It will give you a guide to what you should eat and what you should not eat, for example, and the amounts that you should eat, and that's what I think.
So what if you have a new client come to you, they've just started, they've never really dieted or anything like that? How do you firstly approach that? Or if you were giving advice to someone who's just starting out?
So the first thing I do, I don't know this person. I don't know what they eat. So I'm not going to make an assumption that if they are eating 3,000 calories a day, I'm not going to say now you just eat 2,000 calories, because further down the line I'm cutting down how much I can work with. Because after a while your body gets used to that certain amount of calories, and you don't know the eating habits of that person. So what I do whenever I start working with someone, I say, okay, for 1 week, I'm going to teach you how to count your calories and what you eat. And they start taking notes on an app that I usually use. And then after a week of them counting the calories, I say, so this is where you could be going wrong, or this is what you're doing well. And so, as I said, my first thing that I do with my client is teach them how to count calories. And after that, I break it down to the macros where they are going wrong. So the macros are proteins, carbs, for those the one that don't know, and fat. And this is where I play with. And you're not having enough protein in your diet, or you could have a bit of more fat. Try to have less sugar. But the first thing that I do is teach them how to count calories.
Yeah, I think I do the exact same. So my first 2 to 3 days, I don't tell them anything. I don't even want to give them any information because some people think, oh, I'm going to try and please him today. And I don't want that. I just literally give them the app that I use and I say, I want you to put in exactly what you eat. Yeah. If you have 5 chocolate bars in a day, you put that exactly in, because I'm trying to work out what you're sort of eating. And also, there's a lot of foods that people think, it's not that bad for you. And when you put it in the app and you can see the actual breakdown or how much calories it's worth for the portion they're having, it kind of teaches them as well what foods are actually not so good, which they think are, and what foods are better than what they thought they were. Yeah. And then that's when I sort of, after seeing that, I sort of can work out the calories I want them to be on, sort of break down the macros, and then sort of go from there.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of clients that lie to you?
I like to think they don't. But I mean, to be fair, I do. A couple of my clients are honest. Yeah. They'll straight up tell me because they know there's no point lying. If I've worked out your calories, if, you know, we've done our sessions, I've seen you coming into the gym doing something else that you've got planned or I've planned for you. And if they're a fat loss client, let's say, it's just easier. And they haven't lost any weight in, let's say, 2 weeks, body fat in, let's say, 2 weeks. You kind of look at that and you think, well, you are not taking it seriously, or you've forgotten to add some parts into your food diary. But I don't think it's as often. I'd like to think so anyway. What about you? Do you get it?
Yeah. And I think that a lot of the times they also think if they don't put the chocolate that they add, they're not going to gain any weight. Yeah, it is.
Or you deliberately forget about it.
Yeah. You
think, or you think, last week I was under, so I mean, if I have, it kind of makes sense if I can have something now, and it just don't work like that. Yeah. It just don't work like that. Yeah. What's the thing that you hate the most about the diet side of stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. So the thing depends. So if I'm working with a client, the thing that I hate the most is when they are not honest, and you think you're doing everything right, and they come to you and say, "Oh, I'm not losing any weight. You're not doing your job." I was like, I don't think you're being completely honest here, because this is why we study. This is what we work for, and we know how our body works. If you're not losing weight, something is not working properly, and you're not being honest. It could, and also the thing that I hate the most is when I start telling people, "Oh, now start eating this amount or try to lose weight," and they come to you and they only add 700 calories in one day,
and they try and deliberately go lower.
And they go too low, and I'm like, this is not going to work. Your body going to shut down, and they don't understand. They think that less is better, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And it's bad. For example, I can tell you, I have an example with a client that this client came to me and she was grayish looking. She looked a bit sick, and she was a bit heavy as well. And she was like, "Oh, I don't understand. I don't eat anything and I cannot lose weight and I look really bad." And I said, and I did the same thing. I said, "Look, what you're going to do for me is you're going to start counting your calories." And she would eat during the week nothing at all. She would have 600 or 700 calories of good food, and then at night she would have 2 beers. And she was like, "Your calories are actually really low. You put me in the situation where I will have to give you more calories to put your body functioning properly. And then you probably will gain weight on the first few weeks. And then this is where I can work with, because if you're having 700 calories a day, and then I'm not going to come to you and say, okay, if there is what it's maintaining your body like this is this amount of calories, I'm going to give you 600 calories or 500 calories. She could sue me for that because that's not that
No.
that's you cannot do that to a person, and because you have something that is your uh, basic metabolic rate, that it is 75% of the calories that you burn, it is to maintain your vital organs function normally. And if you're having lower than that amount that you should have, your body will shut down. It's not going to work properly. And your body needs food as well. And a lot of people don't realize that. And it's when you try to explain the calories, how they work, and someone goes really low, this is when I get really frustrating.
I think for me, the biggest thing that winds me up is when, you've given your client calories, or not even your client, just anyone, and they just automatically presume carbs are a bad thing. That winds me up so much. And I'll give a client something like, 200 grams of carbs. And they go, that's gonna make me fat. Carbs are not bad whatsoever. They're not bad. Pasta is not bad for you. That's very carb dominate, high in carbs. And I think it's the types of food. So you think if you have a packet of crisps, the carbs within that crisps are not great at all. If you have, say, rice, pasta, that sort of stuff, it's a lot better for you. And that's where it comes down to the sort of, well, if you look on the back of the packet, this is the biggest thing I get my clients to look at. It says, of which sugars. If that's higher, it's not a good carb. As simple as that. Or it's not something, if you're just about to train, sometimes it doesn't, it's a bit of a boost, really, isn't it? It doesn't really matter. But I think if someone's generally training, they've got their diet that I've given them, and they see carbs on there, a lot of people kind of shit themselves. And carbs are not a bad thing whatsoever.
I don't know. What for you? What would be the ideal diet to lose weight then?
So the way I like with myself, I don't do a specific diet. I just keep it balanced. So I'm not someone who goes into keto, or I like to just keep it very balanced. So I keep my protein quite high, just because of the amount I train. I feel like having high amounts of protein fills you up a little bit more anyway. So it helps with that hunger side, especially when you are trying to drop that body fat. But yeah, I just keep it a very, very balanced. So no really, really low fats or really low carbs, or I just keep it very balanced. What do you prefer?
I think, so for me, if I'm working with a person that wants to lose weight, I think, and I've done this with myself and a lot of people, and it does work, is a low carb diet. And I'm not saying that you should go to keto, although you can see amazing results on keto diet because you're keeping your insulin really low and your glucagon will be high, and so you'll be a fat burning machine. So it is really effective. I don't think it is sustainable because a lot of people that I see on keto diet, they do it for a while. I never met anyone that does keto for 5 years in a row and never went out of it. I never seen anyone. And I did try it, and I got really good results. But then when I started coming off of keto, I blew up again because of the water retention, and because your body.
I think that's where that diet has its downfall. Yeah. You have to be very strict with that diet, very, otherwise the effects aren't there.
No, and especially once you start, before you get into keto, I think it's during 5 or 6 days before you really get into it, you start feeling sick and you get the keto flu, and then you start getting amazing results. You feel energized, but once you have the carbs again, your body has a crash down. You just feel drained again, and I didn't really enjoy that, although I love fatty foods. But I decided that it was not for me. But you having a low carb diet, it would help you. So how do you get fat? You get fat by having high quantities of. It would be by having high quantities of food, either as a carbs or fat. But if you eat fat, it doesn't mean that it's going to transform itself on fats on yourself. But what's the worst thing that can happen is you having more carbs that you need, and then you have a lot of fats as well. And this is when people accumulate a lot of fat. My things for what studied and I'm passionate about, because I'm someone that I will always look for an easier way to do something. And I've read a lot about it and I search a lot about it. And what it worked best for me is keeping a low carb diet, um, and try not to have so many calories. Because if you have a lot of carbs, for example, more than you need, because your body can only storage so much on your muscles for energy, and on your liver, they can store so much. And if you're having higher amounts than you need and that your body can storage, you will start, because your insulin is so high, you will start storing all of these carbs as fat in your body. And keeping your insulin low, you will let the glucagon, the hormone that will break down that fat, come. And the less carbs you have, and you will leave your body in a starvation mode, the glucagon will come and it will try to get the storage from your body to use as an energy fluid. And this is why, for me, a low carb diet is really good to lose weight. And this is
I do agree.
it's
I think
just one thing, because you remember when you were on competition, for example,
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
you started having having not having a lot of food, and you were actually trying to get into keto, weren't you?
Yeah, well, at first I was doing carb cycling. So I would do sort of 3 days where they were next to no carbs, literally nothing. And then I'd have 2 days higher carbs, and it'd just be 3 on, 2 off sort of thing. And the first 2 days of being into the low carbs, I didn't really feel any different in myself. And then when you hit that third day, I just felt miserable, moody. And then I think as the phases of my competition went on, I completely cut carbs out for a lot longer. I think it was about 2-3 weeks in the end, and I just felt crap. I felt crap. So for me, that's one of the only reasons why I don't like the keto diet.
Yeah.
I just don't get on with it very well. That doesn't mean, obviously, that you might think it's brilliant and it works well. And that's why there's not a single diet that is necessarily the best, because what is good for me and what's good for you is different. That's kind of why I like to sort of keep it very balanced with myself, just because it keeps me nice and happy. I'm not moody from having no carbs for 3 weeks, and I can sort of balance out my foods easier as well. So I can still have the foods I like, which are higher in fats, and I can still have the foods I like, which are higher in carbs. I can keep it a lot more balanced, and it feels like, instead of cutting certain foods out because, I can't have fat, so I can't eat that, or I can't have carbs and I can't eat that. Keeping it balanced means I can have pretty much anything I want, but it's just more in moderation.
Yeah. And like you said, there's no right. One thing that I truly believe is that some PTs are very passionate about of something that works for them, and they try to implement that on all of their clients. And for example, you prefer a carb rich diet. I prefer a low carb because it has worked for me and for a lot of my clients. But I've worked with people that are pescatarians. I've worked with people that prefer carbs. I've worked with people that prefer fats. So you having an open mind, and you will be able to learn from the other people, and you trying to find ways with the knowledge that you have helping these people. I do believe that there is not a best diet, like a singular best diet, and everyone should follow it, because it doesn't work for everyone. And And that's why I truly believe. And when someone is so advocate of one diet, it's because it worked for them and they are passionate about. And that's it. It doesn't mean that it will work for you. You have more muscle than me, for example. You probably need a carb. You need a lot of more carbs than I do to maintain the muscles that you have. Because more muscle you have, the more storage you will be able to have, and your who has more muscle needs more calories as well. So it's easy to get calories from carbs, and let's be honest, you can say no to chips, yeah.
I think what people forget is every single diet does the same thing, and that is you're in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Yeah. As simple as that. So it doesn't matter what diet you follow. If you follow it correctly, every single diet that you do, you are in a calorie deficit. Mm-hmm. Now, I think, of course, what we just said, every types of diet works differently for everyone else, and some people get on with certain stuff. But I think once you've found that, you still got to remember it's just a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Although I do believe if someone is having 2,000 calories of just cake, they're not going to lose weight. Because your insulin is too high. Your insulin.
It depends how used to it they are, I think.
Yeah. I think the foods that you eat, that the natural value that they have, it's too important. If you're going to have 2,000 calories of cake, Liam, there's no protein on it.
Yeah.
How you're going to build muscle. I think I truly believe in that. I think that the foods that you eat, they will have a hormonal response, and
massively.
It will have an hormonal response on you, and the more sugar you have and carbs, they are break down to they are transformed in glycogen as well. You will have a higher insulin. So that's why when bodybuilders are trying to lose fat, they go do cardio in the morning, fasted, because the glucagon is high, and you're just sleeping for 9 hours, and you didn't add anything in your stomach. You go run, and it's because of you want to use the glucagon that is high, trying to get you energy from the fat cells that you have storage on yourself, and this is why being careful with the carbs, especially the sugar, is really important.
I didn't realize how important every nutrient was when I started training seriously. Before when I was training, I was kind of eating kind of what I want and wasn't massively clued up. But then when you actually start training very regularly and you get sort of used to eating clean, and then you go back and you have a phase of eating crap, it upset me. It upset my belly. Yeah. It made me either really sleepy, or I could actually be hyper over the sugar. And my body was so much more, it was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Sensitive to the foods I was taking in, because I was so used to eating clean. And I know for myself, if I don't hit a certain amount of protein, or I've not dieted for a week or so, and I've trained really hard, I've done my 2 sessions a day, 7 days. At the end of that week, I'm blown out. Yeah. I have no energy. I feel crap. I feel almost run down, and it's made me realize how important, not even just the diet side, but how important it is of getting the correct nutrients in your body.
Oh yeah. Just to wrap her up, Liam, I think there is not the best or ideal diet. If you think about it, not even nutritionists or even doctors cannot agree on it. There's not enough studies on all of the diets, and there's a lot of factors that change until they put people closed on a lab and say, you're going to do this diet, this person's going to do that diet, and they have the same environment, they have a similar DNA. There's no there's no one can say this is the best diet it will ever be. It's whatever works for you, whatever works for you, and you get the results that you want. So different body types will go better with different foods. But one thing I do truly believe, if you want to lose weight, calorie restriction is really important. Knowing how to do that, use a specific calculator and knowing what you need to do is really important. But the types of foods that you eat, they need to be low sugar. And I truly believe if you keep your insulin low, you will lose weight. And this is what I think about what is the best diet you can have to lose weight. If it is to gain weight, you need a pre-workout, a meal to train. You need to train and then have your post-workout meal. It is essential. What do you think, Liam?
I think spot on. I think if someone's completely new, they've never done any sort of diet before, I think the best thing you can possibly do is just track and just see what you're eating to start with, and just learn what foods are good and what foods are not, and the foods that you're actually putting into your body. I think that is the first thing anyone should do first, because it'll blow you away how much you're under eating or how much you're overeating. It's massive.
Yeah, I think exercise is really important, but what you put in your body, it is the biggest help you can give yourself to get your results.
100%.
So, anything to add, Liam?
Nah, I think if anyone has another topic that you want us to discuss, then drop us a message, or you can put it in the comments. Drop us a message on our Instagram, which is Avail_podcast.
That's it. See you soon, buddy.